Hello friends, my name is Kevin Kutto, and in this video I am going to share my knowledge about dimensions, limits, tolerances and how to choose right tolerances for the dimensions. If you are working in design, CAD or quality domains where you deal with the drawings, parts and assemblies, then this video is exclusively for you. And if you are not done yet, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Your subscriptions, your likes, shares and comments are valuable to me. They encourage me to work harder in order to bring better and better design content for you. Now let's begin with our first question. What are dimensions? A dimension has two parts in it. The first part is it's a numerical value that is expressed to define a geometric characteristic of the part. For example, size, form, location, orientation and profile. The second part of the dimension is an appropriate measuring unit such as millimeters, feet or inches. Now let's see in the example. In this example, width of the block is expressed in a numerical value which is 15 and the measuring unit is millimeters. So the dimension of the width is 15 millimeters. Now is it possible to manufacture a part repeatedly with exact same dimensions? The answer is no. Then why do dimensions vary in first place? See, dimensions vary in first place because of the variations in manufacturing processes, machines, skills levels of workers and quality checkers, measuring instruments, inspection methods, material variations, environmental conditions, storing, shipping and handling of the part. All these variations result into dimensional variations. Now how to solve this problem then? That's why we have limits. In order to accommodate these variations, we permit error in the dimension. It means that dimensions are expressed in the range of limits. So what are these limits? Limits are to extreme permissible sizes of the part between which an actual size of the part is acceptable. If my actual size of the part is falling outside my limits, then the part will be rejected. Higher permissible size of the part is called upper limit of size, whereas lower permissible size of the part is called lower limit of size. Now let's see with the example. In this example, we have upper limit as 15.3 and lower limit as 14.7. That means all the parts which are going to be in between these two limits are acceptable and rest of the parts are rejected. This is an example where 15.4, 14.5 and 14.6 dimensions or these parts are rejected because they are falling outside these limits. Now that we understand what are limits, let's understand what are tolerances. A tolerance is the total amount of error or a variation permitted in the dimension. In other words, it's the difference between upper limit of size and lower limit of size. Let's see this with the example. Now in this example we know that 15.25 is the upper limit of size and 14.75 mm is the lower limit of size. The difference between these two is the tolerance, which is 0.5. Now what are different types of tolerances? The first type of tolerance is a limit tolerance. As the name points out, dimension has upper and lower limits of size stated. It could be expressed in two ways. The first way is you express higher limit above and the lower limit below that. That is one way of expression as shown in the figure. And the second way of expression is first you express lower limit of size dash and then higher limit of size. Both the expressions have same meanings. The second type of tolerances are plus minus tolerances. In this type, nominal or target value of the dimension is followed by plus minus expression of the tolerance. For example, this is my part with the limit sizes. I have 15.25 as my upper limit of size, 14.75 as my lower limit of size. Now if I convert this into a plus minus tolerance, I will have nominal size which is 15 millimeters. I have taken it as a mean, and then I converted 0.5 tolerance into plus minus 0.25. Now, any plus minus tolerance is expressed in many ways. The first way of expression is bilateral tolerance. Now, bilateral tolerance allows dimension to vary in both plus and minus directions of the nominal or target value. Bilateral tolerances could vary equally or unequally. Based upon this, bilateral tolerances are further classified into two subtypes. The first type is equal bilateral tolerance. So if you see in this figure, I have 15 plus minus 0.25. My dimension vary equally in both the direction of nominal dimension. That's why it is called equal bilateral tolerance. The second way is unequal bilateral tolerance. So I have same tolerance which is 0.5, but now it is distributed unequally in both the sides of nominal dimension. In one side it is zero point 0.3 and the other side it is zero point 0.2. That's why this is called unequal bilateral tolerance. Second way of expressing the plus minus tolerance is unilateral tolerance. Now unilateral tolerance allows variation in only one direction of the nominal value. Sometimes both the limits are on positive side and both the limits are on negative side. So these are four ways in which you can express unilateral plus minus tolerance. Now that we understand dimensions, limits, tolerances, let's understand how to choose a tolerance for a dimension. It's a lengthy process. It's not a one-step process. So you need to understand this process in details and follow it step by step throughout the journey of your design. First step itself is referring to the general tolerance chart. Now these charts are available in your organizations. You have to look for them. Uh, so what this chart contains? This chart contains type of material. For example, it is whether it is plastic, sheet metal, whether it is forging, casting, what kind of material this is. Then it will provide you range of size and what is the open tolerance associated with it. So that could be your starting point. Now what if you don't find this chart? You can definitely refer latest release drawings, but with the caution, you have to look for the right material, similar material. You have to look for the right tolerances, sizes. So drill down into the information. Don't just copy paste it. Now the second step is to do a tolerance stack up analysis. All your dimensions, critical dimensions, your tolerances should be input to the tolerance stack up analysis in order to ensure that all the parts will assemble in the worst cases. Not only that, your functional requirements, functional assembly requirements are met. Once you do tolerance stack up analysis, make sure that you review them with the SMEs, get their inputs, and revise your stack up analysis, your circuits as per their inputs. Now, once you have your stack up analysis, once you have that preliminary drawing and tolerances, now the third step is conduct reviews with the suppliers or manufacturers. We call them as design for manufacturing reviews as well. In these reviews, you start discussing your tolerances, your dimensions, your processes, and make sure that all the tolerances which you have provided or included into the stack up analysis are achievable. The second way of collecting the dimensions and tolerances is process capability study. Now, every supplier will have different capability to produce the same part. So we need to understand that. In order to get this information, we need to collect data first, and this data should include all kind of variations happening in the supplier's assembly line. For example, shift change, workers change, inspection methods, inspector change, then material batches, different material batches, storing and handling. So all these variations needs to be captured in the form of sampling plan, and your supplier need to collect that data as per that sampling plan, and then by processing that data you will get a range of tolerance at 6 sigma or 3 sigma levels, which you could use in your drawings and stack up analysis. Now, fourth and very important step, you have to plug in this data back into tolerance stack up analysis. Many professionals don't do this, and because of that, even after doing initial stack up analysis and drawings, their designs, their produced parts always land in trouble in terms of assembly. So once you get this data, you need to plug in this data into stack up analysis and check whether you are still able to achieve your desired results or not. Accordingly, you need to change your design. Accordingly, you need to have further discussions with the suppliers. And once everything is finalized, then you need to identify those critical dimensions as per tolerance stack up analysis into your drawing, right? These will be input for your control charts, and these dimensions and tolerances needs to be controlled throughout the process. So you see, it's a kind of a lengthy process. Even though I've explained overall, I generally cover this topic in very details when I conduct the trainings, but here I can't do that because of time limit. So right now, at least you might have got the overall idea that it's not a one step process, it's a lengthy process. That's why you have to initiate it in early stages of the design. And yes, if you're not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and you can contact me at kevinkutto@gmail.com.